Hello, and welcome back to the SIMZ Serotonin podcast, where we encourage you to action 3Gs to grow, glow, and go after your goals, your dreams, your passions. Today, we are live from the city of Bath, and we have the wonderful Dani with us today. I'm going to introduce Dani by asking you, Dani, could you please tell us who you are and how are you truly feeling in this moment?
That's a great question. Before I answer that, thanks for having me.
Of course.
An honor, and honestly, what you're doing is very exciting.
Thanks, Dani.
Yeah, and I think great things are going to come for you. But answering the question,
Yes.
how am I feeling at this right moment? I think this year has been one of challenging my own confidence. Where last year or 2 years ago, I was riding this high horse. I was feeling very confident, and then this year I was like, this has got to change. I've got to find a new room, and that's where I am at right now. Yeah, and we can go on from there, and let's get this through. Yeah.
Define a new room.
This was as a response to a talk I heard once of, if you're in a room where you feel like you're the smartest, find another room. And I don't mean this in a boastful way. I mean this in a way of in a room where you've been a long time, where you know your ins and outs, where you feel like you've reached a good level of expertise. Inevitably, confidence is going to come with it, but also a lot of complacency and some level of ego as well. And this is the moment where you gotta say, next room. That's the way to grow.
Yeah. And so is the room that you're currently in, that maybe you're referring to, if you're comfortable sharing, the concept of being in university with your current degree, the environment, the people around you, the settings you're in?
I would say more specific, because university, I started university my first 2 years doing one path, which was the path of societies. I was doing societies mainly that I knew I was good at, coming from stuff I'd done at school. So that's Mall United Nations, TEDx, which is where I met Sima. And those are things where I felt very comfortable at. And I managed to, at university, reach very cool places. Like, we both organized a conference.
We did.
Which was a lot of fun.
Yes, and Dani was an incredible, I was just telling him about it, but he was an incredible leader. Inspired us all, but you go on, sorry.
Thank you, Sima, thank you. But from there, that was end of second year, so I'm doing 4 years in total. Third year, I decided go out of the country, went on an exchange, so that was 1 semester in Munich. But then I loved the city so much, I said, let me stay for work there as well. So I stayed a whole year in Munich, but then I came back to Bath, and this was the big decision, coming back to this place where I'd been a year before. Should I go the same route I was doing before and kind of keep feeding my ego and say, it's living the old life, or should I go the other way, which is challenge myself and try the harder way? And that harder way has been two things mainly. Has been, on one side, focusing more on my degree, architecture, and I think during my first 2 years, I was doing it obviously, but because it's something that is tougher, and then there's so much more to learn, I was kind of hiding away from it, because I knew that when there's so much to grow, sometimes you're kind of scared to go for it. And then this year I was like, no, let me try to be the best I can, right? And then the other thing is completely out of the blue, dancing.
Yes!
Latin and ballroom.
Yes.
Which is something I said, okay, let me try something where I'm the complete beginner, haven't done anything before, let me do this. So that's how that came.
And I'd love to hear more about the first experiences in these newer rooms, Latin and ballroom, diving into architecture a bit deeper, knowing that maybe it's not your inherent strong suit. How did you feel at the start, and how did you get yourself to keep going now that it's been a few months?
It's been tough. But let's start with the tough part. I think you first of all start to wonder whether you're doing the right thing, whether trying these new things is not you, and then from here comes all this question of who actually is you, and I think this comes down to identity as well, but we really identify with the things we're good at, right? And I think it's natural, and there's a good thing to that as well. But then when you try something which you're not as good as, and you try to create an identity in that new thing, for example, the case of dance, there's a lot of wavering, and people, their new impression of you is not the same impression you had of other people before. So when you meet the people from the past, they look at you in a certain way. When the new people, they look at you, and it's like, am I still that person?
Yeah.
And you have to realize, and this is what you come to realize after a time, it really still is you, and you can't say, my glory days are over, I'm now in a dump, or maybe before was all a lie and now this is the real me. You've got to find the linking thing between your two identities, and then you realize who actually is you. Everything else that wasn't you kind of like falls away from the past and from the present, and you identify your actual self.
I love that, and I totally resonate with that, because so Dani's doing Latin and ballroom dance, and I did that in my first year, and I felt so similarly. Like, it's like, okay, wait, maybe this is not my strength, but all the other things I'm good at, when I'm doing them, I feel like a different person. Well, who am I? You know what I mean? Like,
I feel you.
But you mentioned two paths, so this is one end of it. Was there another?
Do you mean the architecture one, or? No,
you said, or maybe you said two things that I just didn't.
Oh yeah, so I think it's the two paths of should I go down the complacency route, or should I go for this other thing? Yeah.
And so this whole like feeling of questioning your identity and who you really are. Do you feel like you also experienced that at the start of university when you came to this new city, and even though maybe you were doing some of the things you were typically good at from before, do you feel like because there was new people and you're in again, like I said, a new city, did you feel that the foreignty of it?
So I was coming from Madrid, which is I'd say different country, obviously, but still same continent, and there were obviously some clashes. I remember thinking my English was great because I'd been learning English in school, and suddenly hearing all these new expressions, some things did clash, and obviously the people is part of it. But then I think it wasn't too bad because of me linking stuff I'd done earlier with now. So I think that's the thing that kind of made it all right.
Yeah.
I would say that the new part was doing things proactively by myself, which was different to before, where I was in a more secluded, a more protected school environment, which I'm sure a lot of people resonate with. But then you're in this new place, and it's kind of like you start creating your own kind of like brand, and you start creating your own projects. And I was very grateful that I met people who were similar to me in the sense of they also wanted to enact change. And one of these cases was TEDx, right? Like, this was a great experience, I must say.
It was fun.
I mean, if you remember, like the society, like it didn't exist when we came, right? It was after COVID.
Yeah. We were just a tiny team of 4.
Yeah.
And then scaled it to be what it is today.
Exactly, and I think obviously now I'm in this, as I said, new chapter of 4th year, but I think one can't forget the past. Yeah. And I think I'd love to talk about TEDx as well, or Model U and those years, because there's so many lessons to take from it, right? Yeah. And I think TEDx was one of those where there was a tradition before us of conferences going on, right? But then COVID came, it brought it down to the floor, it didn't happen anymore. And then we had, I think, that courage, I would say it's courage, and maybe vision of saying, let's bring it back, right? and let's bring it back with our style and with ideas and energy and I think the word here to highlight is, I'd probably say legacy, right?
100%.
We were just talking about how there is a TEDx this year again, and that's 3 years after we did ours.
Yeah,
you know?
the tradition continues.
Yeah, and I think this might be one of the secrets to long-lasting happiness. You know, if you create stuff that are long-lasting.
Yeah. And where did your whole inspiration with bringing TEDx back to Bath, back to life, reigniting the passion behind it stem from? I know that you liked watching TEDx videos.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
I wanted to create something at university that would involve very different avenues, different people, right? And obviously I was doing MUN, but this was a bit more something that specific people did, like if you like a debate and so on. But TEDx, if you remember our team, we were a team of like 36, and there was all kinds of people there, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm remembering Aj, who was studying.
He's really good. He's good. He's course mate to one of my housemates. Like I see him around because of that.
Yeah. He's one of my best friends now.
Oh really?
Yeah,
no way.
But we met at TEDx, and he was doing Chem Eng, and he became our catering manager.
Yeah. I remember the whole switch. It was like something to Domino's, right?
Yeah. But he, if you remember, he was great, right? He was so on his feet, and he was very interested in food, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, "This is your position, catering manager," and he did it so excellently, you know. But there was a lot of different positions in the team which catered to different people. Yeah. And when you had all the team together, remember those rounds we would do? Yeah. You would look around and see, wow, we're actually doing something special here. So when you ask like why specifically TEDx, I think it's bringing people from different backgrounds together for sure.
What was your first memory of TEDx? What was your first interaction with it?
As in before university?
Yeah.
Or, actually, that's a good question. Because preparing for applying to university for architecture, knowing that some universities asked for interviews, I was like, I need to know about this, and my go-to was TEDx. I didn't know where else to look for architecture content, so I remember Bjarke Ingels, all these different architects, which now, if I look back at them, or at least architects say they're all these starchitects who have these crazy ideas, but when I was a student, well, I found these like the most fascinating ones. Yeah. That was TEDx, so I guess that's the link. What about you? What was your first?
Ooh. Well, when I was maybe 8 years old, my school actually had us, they introduced us to TEDx. Yeah. And they had us prepare speeches, TEDx style. And they had us all get on stage, present the speech. And mine was about education rights for women. And I just remembered that I really loved being on stage. Yeah. I don't know if it's just that I like attention, but like...
no, it's like, a special feeling.
It is, yeah. And like, I really like the experience of engaging with an audience and sharing a really important message. Yep. And like being able to look people in the eye, connect with them, like really resonate with them, show people that they're seen, they're heard. Because the beauty of TEDx is it allows for so many, like you said, so many different types of people behind the scenes and on stage to get involved and to reach different people in the crowd. Yep. And there's so much that goes behind it that people don't see, like we were the TEDx committee, but we were only on stage for like the very beginning, and then you went on in the end, surely. But it's just a whole like it's a whole masterpiece, really.
It is.
It was great. And we actually, speaking of this, also I knew the answer to my question, but I wanted you to share with the audience about how it started from you preparing to apply to architecture. We even had Jasmine Mulani speak about architecture. Her speech was really good. I remember that one well.
It was, yeah. She's one of our good student speakers,
yeah. And I guess you talked about doing the things that you know, your strengths at university, like TEDx, MUN, which it's funny how we kind of switched because I tried MUN this year.
I saw that.
You were doing that in a ballroom. Oh my god, Dani was so random. It was really fun. Okay. It was good, like you said, to put myself in like the beginner's shoes and feel like the people around me
so we're going through similar...
Yeah, the people around me were incredible. Like they were all like born politicians. Yeah. I was like, whoa, like they were amazing.
I'm sure you did very well, no?
I
Because you're good
mean,
on the stage as well, and
like I played my
negotiating.
role. I don't know how well I did, but I really enjoyed it. I think for me it was a lot of learning because
yeah,
the people I hadn't really been in a room where it was predominantly like politics or law students. You know what I
Yep,
mean?
yep.
Especially since at Bath, like we don't even have law as an option to study as a degree.
yeah.
So I really enjoyed that experience, and I signed up so randomly. Like I kind of signed up by accident,
Okay.
and then I got an email saying your place is confirmed. And then I was literally typing an email to back out to be like, oh, like, you know, this weekend's gonna be a bit difficult.
So
but
that was that voice in you, which was
exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But then I was like, you know what?
What made you stay then?
If I sign up to something, something in me,
You
I
just
need to
have
do
to pull
it.
through, right?
Yeah, no
Okay.
matter how scary and annoying it is,
Yeah.
I need to make myself do it. I just need to put
You did
myself
it.
through the pain, and like we did it, and it was so worth it. So I'm
Yeah.
very glad. Look at us both doing things
Look at
that
us.
we haven't really done before.
Yeah, but now or never. I mean, it's fourth year of
Exactly.
university, right?
Yeah,
Like
final year.
soon it's gonna be.
How do you feel about it being the last semester?
Oh, it's quite something, right? I mean, I'm already thinking graduation, Bath Abbey.
Yeah. What day is your grad?
Family coming over. Have they announced it yet?
They have.
Oh, they have. I gotta check that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I know yours from Safa, but I don't know.
Yeah, sometime in July, right?
I think they're all from the week of 12th to 18th.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to hear more about your year in English. Your year in Munich.
Yes, yes.
Or you can talk German if you like.
Munich was sehr gut.
Sehr gut.
It's very good. It's maybe it was like the pre of what was going to happen this year, because Munich was nearby me. No one knew me there. At least here in Bath, I have moments of where my ego can go up again when I see someone from the past, right? They remember. But in Munich, it was like I'm this new person, right? And you have to
no links to Austria present.
No links.
Okay.
Well, links to Austria, yes, because I went skiing with my grandparents every 2 weekends.
Oh.
Because they're in the mountains close by. So
How was that?
That was good. So family
Yeah.
connection was important
Okay.
in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of, I was the only student going there from Bath, at
Okay.
least in architecture.
Yeah.
So I think that was the pre, and I remember arriving first day in Munich, arriving at my room, and it was like 6 p.m. It was like one of these awkward times where, because if you arrive late, you just go to sleep directly because you've arrived in your country. If you arrive earlier, you start preparing. But then 6 p.m. I was like, I'm all alone in this country. What do I do now? And then I decided at that moment. Because I was about to go and scroll on Instagram, because when you're uncomfortable, you go to these distractions.
Yeah.
I was like, no, let me prepare what I can and then just go to sleep. And that started a cycle in Munich of going to sleep early, waking up early, and it's one of those like systems. Everyone has their own systems.
Yeah.
But you need systems to go through life, right? And that's another thing I've realized this year, especially as well. Like the other day, I was playing tennis. It's a very different example, but I came up with a system for breathing, where yeah, it's quite random, but before I'd always play, and the breathing kind of came like a secondary thing.
Yeah.
But now, when my opponent was about to hit the ball, I would breathe in, simulating I am my opponent. When he hits the ball, breathe out. And the same thing when the ball comes to me, breathe in when I hit. So I'm concentrating on myself and at the same time on the opponent.
Yeah.
And like becoming him, so you're kind of like more aware of both. It's an example, but it's basically systems you create for yourself that you have to remember to keep using, because you can read all these different books and see what people are doing, right? But if it's a system that you created yourself, which is something I was doing in Munich, doing now, it becomes so much more special. And I'm sure, like, through uni, because you're an incredibly organized person, I'm sure you have all these systems as well.
Thank
right?
you. I don't know how incredible my organization is, but I am organized, yes.
Like, I remember seeing your schedule once, and I was beyond impressed. How was your schedule like this year?
Still chaotic.
Yeah?
But I need
chaotic.
it
It
to be
seemed very
chaotic.
organized.
Or chaotically organized.
Chaotically
I'd say.
organized.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I really like this tennis breathing system. It sounds very cool.
Maybe I have to write a book about it.
Maybe you should.
I don't know if it for a full book, but
Or a TED Talk.
or TED Talk. Yeah, this will be one day, right?
So systems. And do you feel like you've managed to sustain these systems into your final year back at Bath?
Well, first semester we did a group project.
Yes.
And when you do a group project, you're a bit more in the group schedule. So then it was a bit more difficult to do your own systems, but found my ways, right? You work around it. This semester I'm doing an individual project, and I'm starting to hammer back at those systems, so quite happy about that.
So when is the bedtime tonight?
When's the bedtime tonight? Let's say 10.
That's very impressive.
Let's say 10, yeah.
That's very good.
But I think it's one of the many ways, right? Everyone has their own, so.
Exactly, yeah. And do you feel like, because you said that you really enjoyed your studying, am I pronouncing Munich correctly?
Yeah, Munich.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's
the German way?
Tell me the German
the German way, okay. München?
München,
yeah, it's like a weird, München. That's quite good, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You really enjoyed your time in München to the extent that I said it wrong, didn't I?
That's pretty good,
It carried on into you working there.
Yeah.
What was the process of working in, because, I mean, you did your first placement in Bath, right? So that was English.
That was English, yeah.
Had you worked in German before, or?
No, so that was first time.
Yeah. Was it fully in German?
Fully in
German. The job?
Yeah.
Did you notice any major differences, despite being kind of familiar with the culture, or at least the relative culture?
Yeah, so I think there's people underestimate languages, just how important they are, in terms of how much it connects to feelings of belonging, culture. And for me, being half Austrian, half Spanish, having been brought up in Vienna first and then moving to Madrid.
Yeah.
So it was 9 years, and the 9 years I lost my German in the way, moving to Spain. And whenever I would go back to Austria, we went quite a lot, and there would be like family reunions. This was always a thing I felt quite uncomfortable with.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because I felt my own relatives thought I wasn't Austrian enough.
I get you.
So then when I was deciding on exchange, there was Netherlands, but I was like, no, I'm gonna go back to the German world.
Back to the roots.
Back to the roots, yeah. I mean, Austria, Germany, but it was close enough.
Relatively, right?
And I was like thinking about the future ahead here. And sometimes you need to look ahead, and this was the case with exchange, because I'm sure other cities would have been more fun, like by the beach, whatever. But I was like, no, let's. And language-wise, it was not easy. But then, little by little, came back, and slowly I felt more in tune with my Austrian self. And going back to Austria this year, which was during the break, it was a whole different experience. And I started, I think, I started seeing myself living there in the future again.
Oh, okay.
This was quite special, because when I would come back before, it would feel more like visits. Yeah. But this time I was like, I like this thing. I would do it when I'm living here, and I was really like when I'm. For example, this is a bit of a weird example again, but like Viennese balls. I went to my first Viennese ball at the age of 21, which typically Austrians would go at the age of 17 or 18, because they learn ballroom in Vienna, right? And now that I had learned ballroom in Bath, it's actually one of the reasons why I started. I was like, I gotta get.
Oh, was it one of the reasons? Okay.
Gotta get in tune with my Austrian self. So it all connects, right? Yeah. Then going to the Viennese ball, and I met up with some Austrian friends as well. It's like, whoa, I'm part of like Austrian society again, like I'm in it, and I'm thinking, if I live in Austria, I can go to more of these balls. Yeah. So that was very, very cool.
Did it feel good to dance in Vienna?
Oh, dancing is something. In Vienna specifically, like the place we went to is called the Musikverein. Okay. It's where they do the New Year's concert. Okay. And it's a very special room. Right? It's a big hall, and everyone was like. You
need to show me pictures after.
Yes, it's quite special. Yeah. But the best part was that you're full of a room of people who know how to dance. So you can ask anyone in there, do you want to dance? And
this is good. I feel like this is the olden days, like Bridgerton in the ballroom, where you just.
But you think it doesn't happen anymore, but it does, right? Like, because here in the UK, when you do Latin ballroom, you only compete.
Yeah.
Right? And you could only ask, do you want to dance to someone else who's learning? But in Vienna, everyone does, so you just go for it.
Really, the majority of citizens just know how to
maybe
dance?
majority not, but like a very significant proportion.
Wow.
And in the bowls, everyone,
Yeah.
right? Because you would go there if you want to
Yeah.
dance. So obviously I danced with my sister, which was very special.
Oh.
And because she hasn't done lessons, I was, instead of doing what I was learning in classes here, I had to adapt it, be a bit more spontaneous, come up with some moves that she'd be able to follow, and she did incredibly. I mean, she's a great dancer. Right?
Yeah.
She's a natural.
So you're a leader, right? And when
yes.
you compete,
Have
you tried being follower?
I have tried a little bit of following, yeah.
Okay.
But it's a different mindset, right?
Yeah, I was actually leader too.
You were a leader.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. How did you find this? How did you find leading? Because there's this whole element of you're setting the pace, and this other person is trusting you. So.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I would have preferred to be follower.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you like leading?
I like it. Yeah.
I don't know if it's like because it's like the typically masculine role.
Yeah,
but
this is also a debate. Yeah.
I feel like it's nice because you get to kind of choose what happens next.
Yeah.
But I would rather like not have to do that thinking.
Yeah.
I would like to in other situations, but if it's just dancing, then like especially like Latin and ballroom, like I'm just like, oh, I just want to like have fun, you know.
But there's so many lessons to get from dancing, right?
Yeah, that's
like
true.
one of them is this, but then also like intimacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you had a partner too.
Yeah.
Like from the beginning to the end, it must have been a huge change of how well you connected. No?
Yeah. I mean, mine was like we were both girls, we were both friends.
Okay.
And
yeah, but it's also intimacy, no?
Yeah. Like the relationship building, like we got closer and all of that. How about for you, like?
Yeah, it's been very nice.
Yeah.
I think everyone should dance. This is like my first hypothesis. Especially everyone I think dances individually to some extent, right?
Yeah.
Either in your shower or in the club, or wherever it is in the streets. But doing it with another person, I think, is something people do really need to try.
Yeah.
Because then it's not only you. It's this very special feeling going on, and you learn so much from it in terms of how to treat someone as well, right? Like, it's not just about the 2 minutes that you're dancing. It's also about the 10 seconds before that when you were waiting for the music and you're looking at the person in the eyes, and you have to, like, if you break eye contact, they will know that you're not. Like,
that's so true, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the 10 seconds before, then it's also all the time before you've been practicing, whether you've been like planning out the practices with this person.
Yeah.
And then the afterwards is equally important, like making sure like either it's a hug or I don't know,
like a
high five or whatever it is. Like
motivating each other is definitely important.
100%.
Yeah, my partner Megan was really, really nice about that. I feel like whenever I made a mistake or anything, she'd be like, "No, like we got this. Come on, like."
Mistakes is a good one. Yeah, because what I've started doing, what we do together now is we laugh it out.
Nice.
Like we're dancing, something doesn't work out, and then we laugh. So it's almost more fun to do the mistakes.
Yeah.
Because you start.
you get an opportunity to slow.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. So maybe I should start doing mistakes on purpose. Not in competitions, right? Competitions, you gotta have your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. Like I guess there's always. Are there still like improv or freestyle opportunities in competitions?
Not. Unfortunately,
Okay.
not.
I could be just making that up. I'm trying to remember if that was even a thing.
There should be. I know this exists because I've seen it on some kind of video, but not in competition, I think. No. There should be, right? Like a bit more of because that's what I was doing with my sister, for example.
No, but there is like a silly option, right? It's like you dress up in a funny costume and like you do it.
Could be. Was that Blackpool? No.
Maybe it was only the major. I feel like it happened at Suda.
Okay.
I could be forgetting, but I just remember the team like bringing random costumes. Like,
that sounds like a lot
someone
of fun.
wore like a dog costume once or something.
Okay.
It was a bit strange, but it happened. But yeah, Dani, what would you say something? What is something right now that is challenging you and that you maybe are struggling with?
Good question. hopefully this pause of thought has also helped the people.
You guys think about your challenges.
I think things come to mind. I would say faith is probably the most adequate answer here.
Okay.
I would say everyone has their own dealings with faith, or however they want to interpret it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But making sure, at least for me, to keep it as the core of life, not a side, not as something that helps you achieve other things. Because I've seen this a lot of people using faith or whatever it is to achieve things. Like making sure it's not that, making sure it's the central thing. I'd say this has been the thing that's been occupying me lately, and obviously it's challenging, but it's also like the most rewarding thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how your experience is with it, but it's very special.
Yeah, I love what you said about it not being a side, but a core in our life. Yeah. And it's true, it is difficult, it's a struggle. But when you do center it more around your life, more around faith, it does feel very rewarding. And like, at least in my experience, somehow things feel a little bit lighter. It feels like a heavy weight has been a bit lifted.
Yeah, because you realize like this is just the physical world, right?
Yeah, that's a short man.
Whatever happens here, right? It's completely fine. So I think that's like the lightness of it.
Yeah.
And then when like the other day I was having some incense that my mother, when your parents give you stuff for uni.
Yeah.
I finally found it. I was like, incense sticks. Let me light an incense stick. And it was the most surreal experience of the incense stick burning in my room, and just realizing how things drop. And then after that, I remember going down to my kitchen, and some of my flatmates were there, and you're kind of like on this like cloud,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and whatever they say or whatever, like a plate could break, it's fine, Like, so I think the message of like living on the cloud,
I like that.
Like obviously we live in a world, you have to be grounded every now and then, but like you can do that while being in the cloud, I think. So.
Yeah, and I think for me, something I always have to think about is like, God forbid I die tomorrow, what would I regret not having done? Yeah. Like, genuinely, if I was going to die tomorrow, God forbid, what would I do right now? Like, what would you do?
Would you ever regret?
What would I regret?
Yeah, would you have a regret
would
if
I
you died
have a
tomorrow?
regret? I wouldn't regret it because I did try to do it, but I really want to go bungee jumping, like so badly, you don't understand. I tried to go for my 22nd birthday when I was home, but there was no available like bungee jumping facility.
Okay, so you've gone for it. It's not like you're half.
But this is more of a silly response, not a deep response.
No, it's very important.
It is important to me.
No, but is it something that you would have signed up for?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, so
I need to bungee jump.
Okay, but then that's not a regret, right? Because like
exactly. So I said it's more something I'm more upset about. Yeah. But what about you? Do you believe in regrets?
I don't know. What would I regret if I died tomorrow?
Or what would you want to do?
What would I want to do? Go deep in architecture. Like.
Wow, I did not expect that.
Because I had a friend a couple months ago, a friend from all time, she was telling me, Daniel, this might seem a bit of a shock, but I don't think you're going to become an architect. This hit me quite a bit. I was like, okay, whether I'm going to become an architect or not in the long run has to be after me deciding yes or no, but only when I've done the run. Like I've done the long run, I've seen what it is, I've seen what I'm capable of, and then I decide yes or no, rather than now chickening out. If you get what I'm getting.
But would you be chickening out, or are you genuinely not interested?
I'm very interested in architecture.
Okay.
Whether very long run it becomes something similar or different, I have no idea. But I do want to do the run in architecture. Like I think it's very exciting, and you have to do something in life where you just like really go deep into it. And I think this year has been me saying yes, I'm going to go for it, rather than doing something else.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, are you going to do a deep run in marketing?
Well, I mean, since we last properly spoke back in the TEDx days.
Yeah. It's been
I've
a while,
had a
yeah.
different route with marketing
Okay.
because my placement ended up being in strategy, and now I'm doing sales. And
Okay.
I'm a bit all over the place. I have many more interests now for my career, but I guess we'll have to see what's next because there's
Yep.
a lot of mystery in the air for me when it comes to my career right now.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna let
I'd love to hear
let the
about it.
ideas
Keep me
guide
updated.
me. I will.
Sounds good.
But Dani, can I give you a challenge?
Yeah.
You can accept it,
Okay.
you can decline it,
Great.
or you can propose an alternative.
Uh-huh.
But before I give you the challenge, I want you to tell me what is one thing you think you could do to get you closer to what you said you were struggling with, which is your faith.
Good question. I see why you podcast, because you have the best questions, I will say. These, something to get me closer to it. I would say it's easy to see it as something you do alone, because it seems like this very personal thing, right? And something you do in your room alone. But I think something I need to start doing more of is finding people
Okay.
to go with.
And do you have an idea for who or what you could do to find someone or people to...
I think it could be anyone, you know?
Okay.
It doesn't have to be someone who specifically same faith as me or even like same path as me, you know? Like,
Yeah.
but people who at least have the mind open towards it,
Yeah.
and just talking it out and doing things together for it, and starting to see it more as a collective, because
Nice.
sometimes obviously there's a lot of it which is just you as an individual, but I'd say finding the right people. Like half of life is just finding the people to get you through it, you know? So I would say
Okay,
that's
I like that. So I'm gonna repeat. The challenge, you can accept it,
okay.
you can decline it, or you can propose an alternative. So I challenge you, by the end of this month,
Okay.
it's February 11th today, to take a step towards finding someone or some people that make you feel like you are stepping a little bit closer to your faith.
I like that.
So what do you accept the challenge?
I'll accept it.
No alternative, no decline?
Let's do it this week.
Okay.
Sometimes you can't leave it for next week. Gotta be this week.
And how are you going to keep yourself accountable?
You're my accountability partner.
Am I?
You're my accountability partner, and whoever is listening, right? This
Okay.
week will be it.
And today is Wednesday, so don't forget.
Today's Wednesday.
You
By
have a few days
Sunday, I'll have it done. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be checking.
We were able to do TEDx,
We were.
so this will definitely be done. Yeah.
I have faith in you. Faith.
Yes.
She's
I do love my
joking.
puns. This was the best part of coming to the UK, right? Puns
Indeed. All right.
Hope you get bungee jumping.
Oh.
That's your challenge, huh?
I mean, I would love to do that by the end of this week, but I don't think Bath has bungee jumping facilities.
So when
But-
are you doing it?
That's a good question. Now you're challenging me.
London, or where's the Bristol?
I'll have to look into the options.
Mm.
Maybe I don't want to commit to doing it for the end of this year, but I would like to commit to looking into where it can be done soon.
Okay, and then next year.
Let's see, maybe sooner than next year. It really
Alright.
depends on the options and the safety with this one.
I want to see the photos.
Okay, you will, don't worry.
I'll show you the photos of dancing as well. Yeah.
Yes, we'll do that now. But before we wrap up the podcast, Dani, what's one way you would recommend the audience to spread their serotonin today?
Spread their serotonin.
Yes.
Well, how do?
Would you like
What
me
exactly
to-
is serotonin? Yeah, explain me.
So serotonin is a happiness chemical related to long-term calmness, mindfulness,
Okay.
and I like to therefore link it to happiness because happiness is a byfactor of those, isn't it?
Yep.
And yeah, it's about sustaining those.
Okay. I would say. I'm going to say one thing, which is a ground thing, which is the creating your own systems. So when I think my grandfather used to say, like, life is a game, but you have to know how to play it, and find your own systems of winning the game, right? And when you create your own systems, it's just gonna feel so much better because it's yours, right? And that's one part of it, and then the other one is realizing just how unimportant the rules, the game, all of this is in comparison to that feeling of being in a cloud and all that we've talked about as well. No? So I think having these two, and sometimes it's easy to do one or the other. I think the challenge, and I think this will give you the most serotonin, is if you can do both. It seems like counterintuitive or incompatible, but it isn't.
Ooh, interesting. So guys, there's 2 takeaways today. Keep them in mind. Thanks so much, Dani, for being a guest. It was such a pleasure, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
Me too.
We hope this gave you some serotonin. Goodbye, everyone. Bisous.